Aklon will see you shortly. Alright, Zeph. I'm sorry to do this to you. I've been asked to give Polt the introduction of introductions. Guys, this is the start.
You can do them both.
This is the start of the grid. It's the ZOTAC Cup North American Edition. It's a best of 3 from here on out. And in this first game of the quarterfinals, in the lower right corner of the map, it's the red Terran player, CMStorm.Polt, or oh shit, CMStorm. I screwed it up. I screwed it up.
Bruh.
It's Polt.
Up you go.
Oh, I gotta do the other one too.
Yourself.
And in the upper left, playing for Cplay, our European hero from Anook, it is JackO. I'll fix it for the next one. Fuck you guys. But okay, getting analytical and serious about this cast, Polt TVP is immaculate. He does all these tiny things that as a Terran player, I can't help but fanboy over, and the first thing I want to point out is his close supply depot. He never puts them at the ramps anymore. And a big part of this is because the mothership core push early on gives that high ground vision. If you decide to go for a wall off, sometimes it can work out for you, but a lot of the times you're just going to lose those depots and be forced to lift your barracks back if your opponent comes at you with pressure. So Polt, immediately as we see here, this gives him that very small, like microsecond economic edge, but also keeps the supply depot in a nice, safe place.
Yeah. He's setting himself up nicely. His opponent obviously going to go for the standard gate, gas, and core, and probably into expand. I imagine Polt will be expanding. Actually, does Polt do many all-ins in TVP, or does he just play standard? Because his TVP is pretty crazy strong.
I only really see him play standard, but I wouldn't put it past him. Like, it's not like it's out of his repertoire to do an all-in, but I want to point out Polt's, this is the first time in almost ever I've seen him not go for a Reaper opening versus Protoss. Now, it's not because Reapers are harassive like you can do versus Zerg, but, I mean, they're so good at the combat drugs out regen the shield regen, basically. They're really great for poking non-stop and relentlessly, but having gone for this very early command center, we may see him do a very early bio push. And players like Froz in the past, while they are lesser caliber than, say, Polt, they make these pushes work. So I can only imagine Polt will be 10 times better with it.
Yeah, certainly. So I suppose we'll see what happens. This SUV is going to get a nice look around, and then I suppose JackO, once he gets that good old mothership core and such out, he can go and just confirm. Actually, it's kind of risky to send your mothership core out. Maybe just poke up with the store and just confirm that there's a command center there to make sure that he knows exactly what's going on. And yeah, in the meantime, both players are just really going to be setting up for the time being. And I have to say, Polt is one of those Terrans who really stuck out in the past in like GSLs, GSTLs for taking out Protoss, along with Marine King, because the Prime Terrans seem to be really, really good at that. Oh, can I get it? Not quite.
I can't believe that SCV got out alive! He walked right next to the Zealot and somehow was out of range. Now that's like... Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying about that. Sorry, I kind of interrupted because I'm so excited about that. But like, small things like that, it's not game ending. It's not going to change the game. But it's unbelievable that that SCV with 5 health escaped the base like that. With a sentry on it, no less.
SCV's got 9 lives, man.
Well, it might look like that because Polt sent another one across the field already. But no, you're right.
He's really thorough with the scouting too.
It's hard not to fanboy over Polt, but we can't just focus on him, of course. JackO is here. It's not like, you know, it's like everyone's paying attention to the hot girl at the party, and poor JackO is just sitting in the corner hoping someone asks him to dance, or her, or whatever, how we want to phrase that, but JackO is not a bad player. My favorite thing about him, though, and this is going to sound like I'm referring to him as being a player who does all-ins and cheesy builds, he executes Dark Templar better than most players I know. And that's not to say, like, again, I really want to emphasize, he doesn't rush DT and rely on it for cheese to win. But he's that guy who can use them in the late game, he can use them in the mid game, and he uses them appropriately rather than hoping to just cheese his way to victory. So, while we don't have any on the field right now, I wouldn't be shocked to see some enter the field later on. But he might not.
Yeah, sick.
He might not get that chance. That's a lot of Marines coming across the field.
I know. What does he have? He has a Mothership Core and 2 Sentries, a Zealot, and a Stalker to deal with all these Marines. And with Pulp Micro, that's a few more Marines than it looks like. So let's see what happens. He does have the high ground for a second, can take a few pot shots.
This is interesting to me that Polt still went for Stim first. A lot of Terran players, even Polt himself in the past, shying away from Stim first because, hey, guess what? Photon Overcharge. You know, you're already 10 health down, it's going to be that much more effective against you. So a lot of players go for either +1 or combat shields with timing attacks, but going for Stim first, interesting. This kind of says to me like, hey, I'm Polt, I'm going to get drops going ASAP.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't really get Stim without that nice medevac follow-up, because of course if you Stim and charge up a ramp and then they force field you, it's like, well, now I've wasted that completely and my units are very damaged and whatnot. So definitely going to be a drop play situation, I think, and there are a lot of nice places to drop on this map, but it looks like JackO actually has his bases fairly well covered in terms of the vision he has, so hopefully he'll be aware of anything that comes towards him. And he'll be able to shut it down quickly, because I would love to see the late game situation where he throws in those DTs that you were speaking about just earlier.
Well, this Phoenix is going to get taken out. Won't be able to scout anything, sadly. Where did that scan go down? Oh, there we go. Right over top of the army. Oh, Polt is just licking his chops right now, Zeph. He sees there's not a lot here. The Robo Bay is finishing up, but Colossus will not be anything close to in time.
It won't indeed. How many force fields? Okay, there's plenty of force fields to zone this out for the time being, so Polt does need to be careful. The medevacs, of course, not on the field yet at all. The starport just switching over now, so he's just kind of like containing right now, being annoying, threatening in this position, making sure JackO's on his toes. And then when those medevacs join up, he might actually start going for it, dropping in the main, pushing up at the front at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Polt could try and push, and he might just try and do it, because of course he can outrange most of the overcharge, but I mean, really, he's not going to get too much done here. So, with that force field going down very nicely, catches a lot of Marines.
And that's what you don't want to happen, unfortunately.
No, a nice catch from Jack, but he's not out of the water yet. There's still that Stim. There we go. Marauders backing up. Marines doing a bit of hit and run. And Polt, well, it looks like he's kind of giving units away. The reality he's not, because look back at home. He's already replaced almost every single one of them. He's got medevacs now available. And with all these medevacs, that means he doesn't have Vikings. And this Colossus coming out becomes that much more effective.
Yeah, he doesn't know about that tech at all. He saw he didn't even see the robo earlier, so he has really no idea exactly what Jack is doing. He might be able to pick it just by the unit composition, just how much stuff he has in general. I'm not too sure about what you can tell about the just from the unit comp of the Protoss from the Terran perspective. But JackO's in a pretty solid position right now. I think the scariest thing is going to be drops, and even then all he has to do is just make sure he splits his army nicely and doesn't lose his Colossus.
Yeah, that is kind of the big downside when it comes to dealing with drops. You know, you never want to have, when you split your army, you have to make that decision in a split second, and you can't have too little or too much, or else you'll lose a different part of your base.
Yeah, I kind of said that stupidly, like, oh, that's all he has to do, you know, it's no big deal.
No, I'm not taking away from what you said, but like the emphasis is so big. Like, it's such a big skill gap. It's like splitting versus banelings versus not. It's hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. Polt, luckily, he doesn't have too much out on the field. He's just been threatening this whole game. There's a nicely positioned observer out here for JackO as well, so he knows exactly where those units are. And I have to say, I really like how Polt is spreading out like one unit to each expansion, so he knows exactly what's going on at all the bases.
Yeah, the problem for JackO is you can't play this like you're playing against Zerg. If you let a Terran take so many bases on the map, you're gonna lose that game. A Zerg player takes 5 bases, you don't give a good damn. Like, good gosh darn, sorry. Ooh. You just build up a ball of army and you push to death, but you can't do that versus a Terran player. JackO, now taking his 3rd, that's still okay, but if he lets Polt take a 4th and a 5th, I mean, he's just gonna be in so much hot water. Yeah,
and Polt always picks the right times to expand as well, so hopefully JackO can get something going soon. Tons of supply depots going down as Polt's production starts to kick in. There's that Dark Shrine you were talking about, Rifkin.
Yeah, JackO not letting me down. Now this is great, because look at Polt's home. He's got a couple turrets up, but these are precautionary turrets more for like observer catching, not in prediction of Dark Templar. And I will say, guys, there's not been a lot that's taken Polt out in the past, but Dark Templar has knocked him out of ZOTAC before. Of course, this is best of 3. He doesn't have to worry about getting knocked out necessarily, but it's still a concern.
I think Polt wants to do something about that 3rd base. He's like, I don't want to let you have that, but you have an army, and it's going to be kind of tricky to get around that, so let's see what he can do. An observer knows exactly what's going on, so this is really going to help.
3 Vikings
JackO
at a
just
time.
break.
This is what Polt needs. He can't
Yeah.
really push without those Vikings.
He could have had those earlier too for this fight, but unfortunately he was supply blocked for quite a while. So, let's see if he can do anything here. I mean, against that kind of army, it's going to be really difficult. He's going to have to pull it in a couple of directions.
You know, this is actually really cool. I want to point this out. JackO has cannons in his mineral lines. Now, this isn't something you would normally do against a Terran player. You know, you could just blindly invest in it if you want, but I think knowing that Polt is someone who does capitalize on drops, this is such a smart move, having these cannons down. They're going to be useless for a long time, but they will come into great effect if Polt finds that hole in the army. And
Definitely.
he's going to see this. Oh, Polt, you have X-ray goggles on to see that.
There's a game wizard. He already has a turret. Oh, hold that thought.
But here come the Vikings, and there's not enough stalkers here to support this. These Colossus are going to fall down so quickly, Zeph.
Down goes the mothership core as well. He can't even get those units anywhere to safety, and these units struggling to pick off the Vikings and the units at the front at the same time. He's just going to opt for zoning those out for the time being, but
there
all
goes the last
Colossi go
Colossus.
down.
Yeah, and the big thing, as you pointed out, mothership core did go down. No photon charge available. Polt actually struggling with range, though. Force fields are cutting him off quite badly, but JackO is losing so many stalkers here.
Yeah, so many Marauders left in this mix. The Hellbats in there too to help fry up those Zealots. And it looks like this may unfortunately be GG for JackO in this first game.
Yeah, this is GG. The Blink Micro was really good after most of the stalkers died, though. That's what kind of kills me there.
Yeah. Bit unfortunate for JackO there, but he can still come back. 2 more games. I mean, he's got his work cut out for it too. One does not simply kill Polt.